Scott Simpson here, nimble with numbers, right, coming at you for the DFS Money Shot. Really excited to have on tonight two of my previous guests the last 2 weeks. I have Michael, don't call me Hasselhoff, and then I have my guy Anthony Servino, who gave me the beatdown last week to avenge Michael's loss in week 3. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for coming on the DFS Money Shot tonight.
Absolute pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah, happy to be back.
Yeah, I think both of you guys are itching to get in and take some of my money. I understand how it goes. Last week, Anthony did come in and get some of my money. He beat me in a recap. Last week, he beat me 129 to 113. So, over 10 points. It was a sweat in the beginning, but after a while, he kind of ran away with it. Not dissimilar to my matchup the previous week in week 3 with Michael, where it didn't go as planned. I think that was a 144 to 111 shellacking.
Yeah,
so
that hurt.
That was. I told my wife I felt a little bad collecting that DK prize money. I didn't. I did.
That was crazy.
That was a lie. As a matter of fact, with the winnings of Michael's, I wanted to show you what I bought. I bought a bottle of. It's called Hedonism by Compass Batch. They're Compass Box. They're a whiskey blend company that takes blended whiskeys, makes their own little batches. Really good stuff. So thank you, Michael.
Hey, you know what? If I gotta lose money in order for you to get a nice bottle of that, cheers to you, buddy. I'm okay with it.
Thank you, brother. Well, you have a chance to win it back tonight, and then that's what we're going to do today. We're going to rerun both of our matchups, and we're going to kind of go in a triple head-to-head. So it's a triple up, not a double up. Anthony took the money back that I won from Michael last week and made it so that the scotch came out of my own pocket, ultimately. But I'm really excited to have you guys back. Let's real quick, Michael, where can folks find you? Let them know on Twitter, and then anything else that you're doing as well, podcast-wise.
Really follow me on Twitter at the FF Realist, and really it's my love, my baby is the FF Face Off with Anthony Servino right there. So that's really where the bulk of my work goes. I do the DFS piece for Gridiron Experts. That's fun. Going to be joining Game Day NFL with Anthony soon. So there you go. The ink's not dry yet on that, but I'll be there shortly. And
it's drying.
It's drying.
Yeah. And, should I go?
Yeah, go for it. Sorry, Terry.
Yeah, I'm Anthony Servino, the real NFL guru on Twitter. And, Mike and I have the FF Face Off podcast. We're both, lead writers at Gridiron Experts. I do some work over at Fantasy Pros. Mike's a top 3 or top 5 ranker in the ECR right now. I'm 36. So, Mike and I are everywhere, including the Game Day NFL, where we will both be, putting out some sports betting content.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. We talked a little bit about that last time that you were here. Sports betting is right up my alley. I love the props, particularly. There's a lot of great props to be had. Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. And one thing I did want to mention, too, that last week we kind of touched on was the podathon that you guys put on for mental health. As somebody who, my family has been impacted by different mental health situations, I'm just really grateful for the work that you guys are doing. I told my wife today, I said, not only am I glad to have these guys on and to mix up DFS-wise, I said they're great people who support great causes and who put their money where their mouth is and really done amazing things for mental health in this group of fantasy football analysts. So you guys are two of my heroes. So thank you for coming on, and it's going to mean a lot to me when I take your money. And now we're going to show you how it's going to happen. Potentially.
Also, important to note, today is actually World Mental Health Day. So
it is,
yeah. So, no, that's excellent point. Yeah, jump on Twitter, and if you haven't, take some time, just read some of those posts and get to learn about people's experience. I think in general, whatever we're going through, it's helpful to understand what other people have gone through or they are experiencing, just to kind of be in their shoes. It helps us with empathy, and it also helps us when it comes to just treating each other with respect and kindness every day. So two of the best are on right now, and I'm going to feel a little bad when I beat you down, but we'll see. You guys, you guys are the best. So, all right, well, let's jump in. So the way we do this here is we have all submitted our lineups to DK. Anthony, myself, and Michael don't know each other's lineups, of course, but we're going to go pick by pick. We're going to reveal who we've picked, kind of give a little rationale, and talk about what matchups that we like this week that kind of led us to our decision. So let's jump right off and get into our quarterback matchups. I'm pulling down the first QB for everybody. And for those on the podcast, I am rolling out with Teddy Bridgewater. So is Anthony. He has Teddy Bridgewater, and then Michael has Jimmy G back from his injury. Let's start with Teddy Bridgewater, Anthony, since we doubled up there. Talk about what you see in him this week.
Listen, Mike knows I'm not the biggest Teddy Bridgewater guy, but he had his best performance statistically last week, and now he's going to a matchup in Atlanta. This is projected to be a high-scoring game, and this could be one of those games where I can actually see Atlanta not only winning, but, with the lead the whole time, and we're going to have to see Teddy Bridgewater drop back a lot.
Yeah. I really see that game script as well. And he has been building. His first 2 games, he was under 20 points. His last game, he really came out there. He had 2 touchdowns. He still had the pick, but I think, the touchdown on the ground kind of was a surprise. I didn't see that coming. But he does have that capability. He can get outside of the pocket and scramble and make plays with his feet. So you're able to pick up, 3-4 points here and there as he scrambles for 30+ yards last week. Mr. Michael, I like this play with Jimmy G. Talk about, you went contrarian to us. I mean, we didn't, coordinate or anything, but you went with Jimmy G a little bit off the beaten path coming back. What do you see in him this week?
That was part of the reasoning behind Jimmy G. Jimmy G right now is 20th in positional cost this week. So enjoyed that too. The price tag only $5,500. But, Mostert right now is a game time decision. And in the last 2 games, the 49ers quarterbacks have combined for 81 pass attempts. So if Mostert's not able to go, I think Jimmy's going to throw the ball, and I think he's going to throw it a lot. And I think that bodes well for him then. I mean, Dolphins top 10 in points allowed in 3 out of the last 4 games. Well, there's been 4 games this year, so 3 games so far. Top 10 in points allowed. So I think Jimmy's going to be able to sling it. And listen, we've got Kittle back. Debo is back, and Ayuk is jumping over guys. So I think he's got the options to throw it. So.
No, I do like that play, and at that price tag, I mean, $5,500. It's not stealing, but it feels like you're kind of getting away with something. You're getting away with a couple $100. Let's see how that comes back later to play in the wide receiver and running back game, because I'm sure that was a value play for some other reasons as well. Let's jump down to our first running back. Oh my gosh, and it's unanimous across the board, which makes me feel good. We all have Clyde Edwards. And thank you, Steve Levy, Lair in our lineup here. Michael, let me start with you. Why are we all playing him this week? What do you think is the common factor here?
He's just got to get himself in the end zone, and I think that this is a good opportunity for him to do it. I mean, right now, the Raiders are tied with the Panthers for most total touchdowns allowed to running backs with 8. And he's getting the work. He's 6th in the league right now in attempts. And the Raiders so far this year, week 1, 9th in points allowed, week 2, 4th, then 1st, 20th last week against Buffalo, but their best goal line rusher is Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So whatever. But yeah. And I'm not surprised to see that across the board. That was one of those picks I put in. I was like, 2 out of 3 are going to pick this guy.
Yeah. I like that. Anthony, how about you, sir?
Mike said all the right things. I love the matchup for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And, the Raiders are giving up a ton of rushing touchdowns. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it's only a matter of time before he pops because he is 8th amongst running backs in red zone touches with 16. This is going to be the coming out party. I think we're going to see the Clyde Edwards-Helaire that people drafted him as a top 5 or 6 running back in the preseason.
Yeah, no,
this is going to be that game.
No, I think this is it. I agree with you. And, he's seeing so many opportunities. I think, that's the thing is no one else is getting the touches in the red zone. No one else is getting those carries by the goal line. He hasn't cashed in yet. The touchdown progression is there, Right. I really see him, going off this week. He's somebody who can, really triple that value, get into 24 point, 25 point. I think he is a staple for all cash games. I think if you don't have him, you're going to be hurting unless you kind of strike lightning in a bottle. But cash games is more about those solid plays. So, I respect that we all have him in there, and I do think he will feast. One more thing real quick. Sony Michel looked like an all-pro against this defense. And, I haven't seen Sony Michel rush like that ever in his whole career. He was electric against this defense. And so imagine Clyde Edwards-Helaire and how shifty he is, particularly when he gets to that second level where the linebacker play isn't as solid, where those holes turn into gaping holes. He's not going to run away from everybody, but he's going to get yards underneath. I think in the passing game, he's going to do some work as well.
Now, the one concern I have here for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that he has all these red zone touches. 10 of them came in week 1. He's third in the NFL amongst running backs in goal line carries. I feel like all of them came in week 1, where they just kept giving it to him and giving it to him. Since that 10 red zone carry week 1, Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 5 in the past 3 games. And the Chiefs also, for what it's worth, they promoted DeAndre Washington.
I like those. Those are all little flies in the ointment, but I'm still not afraid, and none of us are, as we all went with them as our go-to RB1. Let's check out who we went with the RB2. This is going to say a lot about where the matchup is going to kind of divert for all of us. So let's pull down and see who is the second bride to be here. Oh, we've got all 3 different running backs. Excellent. Nice. That's excellent. Scott went with Mike Davis for the Panthers at 6,400. Anthony went with Todd Gurley for the Falcons at 5,700. And then the FF Realist, my guy Michael, went with James Robinson at 6,700. Anthony, let's start with you with the value play here out of these 3 backs. What do you see in Todd Gurley this week?
You know, I love the matchup for Todd Gurley against the Carolina Panthers. They were one of the worst run defenses. You know, we talked about, the Las Vegas Raiders. Carolina is not much better. And Todd Gurley, he's not the same efficient back. And I've said it for 2 years now. You're never going to see that Todd Gurley again. But I'm starting to come around. He has a nose for the end zone. Anytime he touches the football within the 5-yard line, he seems to get in there. And I can see another 1 or 2 touchdown game for Todd Gurley in this one. Yeah, I called it last week. I had the 2 touchdown prop.
You know, Anthony,
I'm doubling down.
Anthony, who was the guy that told you all summer long that he was going to be good for touchdowns?
You did, but in redraft, I'm never going to chase touchdowns.
Yeah, whatever.
Never.
I was still right-ish.
I like it. And, Michael, always feel free to jump in anytime and bust anybody's balls in this show. This is a ball-free, you can bust them. And I can be honest with you, we went back and forth on my show, the Fantasy Millionaires, about Todd Gurley. We liked him initially. His knee flared up in preseason, and we kind of didn't like him. I think he is one of those guys who is going to be game flow dependent. And I think what you saw last week and what Anthony alluded to was getting those red zone carries. He makes the most of them, and I think you said nose for the end zone. I've heard several people this week, from my friends to commentators, to say the same thing. And it's that sense in the goal, when he gets down by the goal line, where that space is and how do you get to it? And once you get that contact, how do you play through it? So I agree with you. He is a good candidate, and great job on your prop last week, hitting that double touchdown. That's
third in red zone touches. Todd Gurley with 19.
He called it, and he nailed that last week.
I love that. That's excellent. And I'm always there to prop up, a call like that. Those are great calls because they're hard to do.
I also had Tanyan. I had Tanyan on Monday night for 2.
Oh, I love that. That was when I had Tanyan going, and I was down by 25, and I won. I was very surprised that I didn't think I had a shot. Excellent. So let's go to Michael. Michael, you are going with James Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. What we thought Leonard Fournette might be, James Robinson is everything in that, and maybe even more right now. He's getting all the touches, all the looks. Talk about this play.
Yeah, by the way, if anybody sees me rubbing my mouth or anything and you see my nails, they are still painted. They are still, posted that on Twitter.
I was going to draw attention to it later, but here, if you're watching the screen, I'm going to blow it up big here.
Oh, yeah.
We got, Michael getting his nails painted here. Who's this lovely lady over here? What's going on?
That is my niece, and she was getting her fingernails painted, and she said to me, Uncle Mike, I'm going to paint your fingernails. So who am I to say no to a pretty lady? So, and there we go. But oddly enough, she only did one hand and left the other hand completely fine. So I told her that, and she didn't care. She just, she was done.
What? It's a woman's prerogative. Kudos to you as an uncle. Well done, sir. Yep. Before I was a dad, I was an uncle. And, uncle, sometimes you got to do some stuff that you didn't think you were going to do in the line of duty. Right. And then afterwards, you're like, nah, that wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad.
That wasn't too bad. Well done.
But James Robinson, they are going against Houston. They're going to be in Houston. Robinson, like you said, priced at 6,700. I mean, he's 6th right now in DK scoring, and I like to look at the consistency of teams allowing points to a position. I don't want to just look at what it is on a broad scope because there could be big games and little games, but Texans so far this year, 11th, 7th, 7th, and 4th in points allowed to the running back position. There's the whole narrative. Sure, they got Romeo Crennel in there now, and maybe that jazzes up the Texans a little bit, but I still think Robinson's going to eat. He's still a focal point of that offense. So I suspect he's going to do well. So this was an easy play for me. I mean, there was a couple running backs at the top that to me were no-brainers. One of them was Edwards-Helaire. The other one was Robinson, of course. And I like the Mike Davis call. And Anthony, I'm smirking pretty hard on the inside at the Todd Gurley pick, but I like it. I flirted with that too, the Todd Gurley.
That's a huge beer, sir. When you're done drinking, or let us know what is that. What's in there?
This is low key today because I'm waiting for my delivery from Tavor. This is just simple Coors Light, but I do have some single barrel Jack Daniels, to which I also had. I had some Jameson signature blend, but it was only enough for 2 glasses. And like I told you guys off air, if I drank both glasses, the divorce papers would have been on my pillow. So she can't go for that. So there you go.
No, I like it.
And Anthony's rocking a very strong lemon water.
Ooh. Oh, I like it.
I don't even have lemon tonight. Just a bottle of water.
Just a bottle. Well, so I like your pick a lot. And I'll tell you this. This is a stat that I heard. It might have been from Graham Barfield or from Scott Barrett. One of them is going to kill me because it's the other one. But it was that there's only 3 running backs so far that have seen 90% of their team's touches, or carries, and then 10% of their team's targets. And so, your boy James Robinson fits into that category along with Christian McCaffrey, who's hurt. And then, that's going to be a real big play for you guys. The only other person is Zeke who does that. And Zeke's priced up, well over 1,000 more. So I think that's a great play. You're getting all those touches. Last week, he ran 26 routes and Chris Thompson ran 13. So double the routes. Chris Thompson's not stealing those PPR points there. So I like it. I went with Mike Davis, and really it's a volume play for Mike Davis. He's getting so much touch everywhere. He's getting the pass attempts. He's getting the targets. Bonifat is out. He's gone to the IR with an ankle injury. And so I just feel like he's the only game in town. And this game does have I could see definitely Todd Gurley getting 2 touchdowns. And I could also see maybe Mike Davis getting 2 touchdowns, maybe a rushing and a receiving. He ran a route on 90% of Teddy Bridgewater's dropbacks last game. So that's what you want in a running back. You don't want a running back who's staying in to block. You want a running back who is creating opportunity downfield and creating space, underneath for yourself. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm hoping, hit James Robinson. It was between Mike Davis and James Robinson for me. They're in my player pool of must-own RB. So I was expecting to face him this week. Well done. Todd Gurley is a smart play, and I feel like it's going to come back to bite me in my game against him particularly. So
Anthony, what was your nickname for Bonifun?
Oh, Reggie Boner Fun.
Oh, it sounds like riding to school, high school on the bus in jeans.
That's how Anthony rolls.
Nothing but class. All right, let's jump down to our wide receivers and see. We kind of paid up a little bit at RB. Let's see if that impacted our wide receiver selections at all. Coming out of the gate, we have Will Fuller for Scott, Robbie Anderson for Anthony, and then Michael has CD Lamb. I love all 3 of these. I'm not going to lie to you. One of my 50-50, my big 50-50 $100 lineups that I'm going for, in DraftKings this week has Will Fuller, Robbie Anderson, and CD Lamb as my 3 wide receivers. So this is heaven to me. I like all of these. Anthony, let's start with you with Robbie Anderson. Doing a little stack action here with Teddy Bridgewater. Talked about Robbie Anderson and where you see the value for him.
Yeah, I always love seeing these quarterback wide receiver stacks. We both did that last week with Todd, with Kenny Golladay and Matthew Stafford. So I'm going to go with the same type of a strategy this week. Robbie Anderson is 16th in fantasy points per game. He is clearly the number 1 wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. DJ Moore, 1 out of 3 games, he's been a fantasy disappointment. And Robbie Anderson looks like a completely different player. Robbie played this well maybe 2 or 3 years ago when he had that big pop year. But I'm in on Robbie. I don't know. He's been dominating so far. And at that price point, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, it's almost at a 4 times his salary value this week. I mean, how many average points per game he's getting? That's ridiculous. And he's not guaranteed to hit that. But if he let's say he goes under it and he gets it at 3 times the value, he's still crushing. At 20 points in the game, you still want that out of that $5,900. That you pay for that. You say I'm going to get 20 points or 18 points out of $5,900. I'll take it every single time. So I think that's an excellent play. Let's talk about CeeDee Lamb, who is the wide receiver 2 on the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm not going to lie to you. I named my team in my redraft, my big money home league, the league of record, whatever they call it. My team name is CD's TDs. And last week you got to CD's TDs because he was my guy to go for 2. So we all kind of got guys that went for 2 last week.
Yeah.
I love him. I played him every single week. And he is a top 25 talent, and he is priced down. I mean, he's up 800. He's still priced down for his value. Talk about what he brings, to your lineup this week.
And you talk about like where he's priced, currently sitting at 6,000. 2 guys in front of him that I just DJ Moore, who has done little to nothing. Anthony's talking about Robbie Anderson. DJ Moore has been virtually non-existent there. And then Terry McLaurin, who's in a not so hot matchup with a new, with a new quarterback. So to me, CeeDee Lamb is a no-brainer. 17th in DraftKings points scored among wide receivers right now, to the tune of 68.2. So yeah, I think he's going to continue to eat in this offense, and I think that the big question entering this year with the Dallas Cowboys from a fantasy football perspective was, how is the ball going to be distributed? We knew Dak was going to do well, but what percentage? And we're seeing after a few weeks, CeeDee Lamb is the number 2 receiver. There is no debate. There is no denying. The air yards are there for Gallup, but the production's not there. So, yeah, to me, this was a slam dunk, no doubt pick, and I loved it. And I too have played him multiple weeks, and I actually traded for him in my home league, which is nicknamed the Macho Kings. So every time I beat an opponent, I'm undefeated right now. I text them a gif of a nice elbow drop, just to let them know what's happening.
Dude, I got to tell you, Michael, I don't know how it took us this long to become friends, because that sounds like some hot fire. I love that. I love that you went and got the guy and then you throw him in your lineup.
Yep.
I think this week I'm starting him as my wide receiver 2 in my league, and I do think he's going to hit again. This is the thing about the Dallas Cowboys offense this year. It is they don't want to have to throw the ball this much. Let me explain this. I think people are like, oh, they're epic. It's just throwing in the ball. Their defense is atrocious.
Absolutely.
And they've been fumbling the ball and not holding on to the ball. Zeke has fumbled the ball multiple times in games. It's been a rough ride. And then all of the pressure on Dak has forced him to the middle of the field. And in that 15 to 10 to 15, 20 range, he's not getting downfield to Gallup. He doesn't have time. He has 3-step drops. He has crossers. He has guys doing outs and slants. And so those fast guys are CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and he's got his tight end right there in the middle of the field. That's all he has time for. It's not a product of Michael Gallup sucks. It's not.
They just lost Tyron Smith for the year too.
I heard that. Yeah, neck done.
Anthony, do you want to talk about Mike Nolan at all? This seems like an opportune time to ask the Cowboys fan about the defensive coordinator over there. You want to talk
maybe
about
Monday.
Is he?
I'm Mike Nolan out right now.
So Mike Nolan was the then, not now, the then Washington Redskins defensive coordinator about 15 years ago when he first broke into the league, and he was the worst.
Still is the worst.
It was you would see a play and it'd be like, they've got 4 wide receivers on the field. Why do you have 4 line? Look at the slot. Like you would see it in real time, and Mike Nolan would, and you're a fan who's having a few Miller Lights and you're 17. I mean, allegedly. Anyway, I'm just gonna say terrible. I'm not a fan of Mike Nolan. Axe grinding on Monday, Anthony. I might have to tune in. Must listen to grinding on Mike Nolan. I'm down.
My favorite line of this whole show was when Anthony said, "I'm all Mike Nolan out." That's it.
I can't deal with it.
It's not good. It's not good. Well, so I love both of your picks. I went with Will Fuller, and speaking of not good, the Texans fired their head coach and general manager and saboteur and general provocateur of evil on their franchise. Bill O'Brien, or as I call him, Evil Bob. I hated him. I hated him. He's just a bad football person. And he, from the stories that came out about how he treated DeAndre Hopkins, listen, I got to tell you, as a man who understands other men, if you've had several children with several different people, you know what? God bless you that you have been able to make people. I'm not going to trade you away and devalue you as a person because your morality is different than mine. Like, that's just not how I treat other people. If you're a bad person, if you're abusive and you're not kind and you're whatever, that's different. But morally, I think that guy is an idiot, and I don't trust him at all. And so he's out. And I think who's in is this team. I think this team gets just like a bump. You know, like when the teacher is out and the sub comes in and the class is just like, woo, 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 yeah, I feel good today. I feel like they woke up all week being like, that guy, Bob is gone, get him out. And you know, Romeo Crennel's not a genius, but I think he's smart enough to say, all right, our best player is by far Deshaun Watson. Put the ball in his hand against a Jacksonville defense that has made Philip effing Rivers look like a superstar in week 1. Are you kidding me? Philip Rivers? He throws a pick at the end of games prolifically in the last 2 years. No one has thrown more picks in the last couple of games. I'm sorry, I'm on a soapbox here, but this has an opportunity, I think, for Will Fuller to get those 3 TDs he used to have. So, you know, if you're doing big money GPPs, Will Fuller is a play. Will Fuller's a play across the board. It is a risky play for me, but it's not. He's up there. You know, he's playing really, really well. So I'm hoping this happens. Any comments on Will Fuller, gentlemen?
I've got Will Fuller. I think it's a great pick. I've got him in my DraftKings DFS article for DraftKings, which you can get over at gridironexperts.com. But just I'm always a big critic of Will Fuller because he's not able to stay healthy. But guess what? Currently, as of right now, he's healthy, and this situation looks promising as hell. So. And you look at him so far this year, except for that one game where, what was that against the somebody help me?
The Ravens.
Where he was stretching out all game.
His hamstring was not working.
Right. Yeah. Right. But right now his hamstring appears to be working. So fire him up, man. No, I love that pick.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, I want to do a shout out to people who have recency bias. Let's talk about DFS for like half a second. The idea of DFS is daily. That D stands for like dependent. And health-wise is a big part of all of our selections and all of our choices. And so I think when you think of Will Fuller and you go, Will Fuller's hurt all the time, right? Well, no, he's not hurt all the time. He's hurt several games at a time. Just look and see if he's playing. If he's playing, he is a bomb waiting to go off. And in the offense where he's getting 10, 11 targets a game, nine catches for over 100 and a touchdown, sign me up for that. I'll take that.
He is a DFS darling, and he is a redraft regret, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. I think that the redraft, you can't bank on him for the whole season, but in the daily, you got to think in the here and now. And I think the cool part about doing this each week, and you guys do it each week too, is that it makes you think about it as like a stock type thing where you're like, how is it today? What's Will Fuller? No injury report. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Julio, Julio's down. Okay. Tyreek Hills. Okay. He's good. Okay. So that's how my mind works with all these guys. Cause if you think you have a fixed opinion on anybody, you're not going to win any money in DFS because your mind is just going to be cemented in an old thought. And, we got to be fluid here. So that's my little PSA for kind of staying frosty when it comes to thinking. Let's jump down to our next wide receiver and see where we're all at here. Oh, shit. No wonder. Anthony's got Will Fuller. I've got CD Lamb. And then Robbie Anderson is with
Wow.
Wow, this is awesome. I like you guys even more now. We kind of we pumped all these guys up. Is there anything we want to say about any one of them that maybe we haven't touched on that is burning a hole in your pocket?
Yeah,
okay, Mike, you want to go?
I was just going to simply say Anthony said all the right things about Robbie earlier. And while he hasn't had a 20-point game since week 2, he did get 11 targets last week, and this opportunity, which Anthony said against this defense this weekend, I'd say it's a prime matchup. So to me, this was a no-brainer.
On Will Fuller, I do have concerns, right? Just like I have concerns about Robbie Anderson. Volume. Will Fuller, you would think this year we were going to see a lot more volume out of Will Fuller. No, DeAndre Hopkins. He's only averaging 5.5 targets a game, and he blanked against Baltimore altogether. But the outlier here is that Will Fuller is getting you at least 15 PPR points a game in 3 out of the 4 games. And This week against Jacksonville, he doesn't have the greatest history against the Jaguars. And the one bright spot on this team is their secondary. Rookie C.J. Henderson is a top 20, top 25 cornerback right now in the NFL. And he looks like he's the real deal. This is the matchup I'm looking for is Will Fuller against C.J. Henderson.
That's a great one to watch. And I really love when the coverage team can zone in on that. And if they do several plays to Will Fuller, which I think they will, you're going to get to see that matchup right away.
Yep.
And you get to see it tested out and to see kind of how it goes. And if he can beat him, maybe over the top or make him think he's going to go over the top, I think that's what it comes down to is when you're a rookie, you don't know what the player's going to do. And you got to give him a little bit of space, especially Will Fuller. So I want to see how he plays him off the line, if he's up in his face, if he's aggressive. I want to kind of see how he does that. So that's a great call.
Yep.
And then I'm just going to say CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I love it. And I hope that we have a different wide receiver 3 and it's not just the same, because that would be hilarious. But we didn't coordinate any of this. And my lineup went in. And here's how I do this, everyone, so everyone knows. I'm a teacher, and I believe in the integrity of the test. You don't look at other people's papers. That's just not how it goes. I do put the show together, and I get the boxes, and I insert them. But honestly, I'm staring at the salary in the corner, and I'm trying not to look at anything because I don't want to see who people put in. So it is a surprise to me.
I love it. It's great. It
makes
fun,
it
man.
funner. Yeah, it makes it funner. So none of us know. But there's no one knows. I don't know. I didn't look at them. And my kids were screaming in my ear when I put it together, so I wasn't even paying attention anyway.
I'm not surprised how many picks we have that are the same thus far, because great minds think alike. So
I got to say, we're all cashing in this weekend, or we're all going down with the ship. So I feel I'm in good company. Either way,
yeah,
I'm pleased. All right, okay, good. Oh, now we are a little different, just a little bit. I went with Robbie Anderson, guys. So I put all of us together. We're all tied to these three guys too, because I have Robbie Anderson. You guys jumped into the Darius Slayton pool, which is cool. And I want to hear what you guys think about this matchup. Let's just be honest. We knew Daniel Jones was going to be hot shit. Sorry to the kids, especially Denny's kids if they're listening. Denny, why are you letting your kids listen to my show? You know what I do.
You know better.
Yeah, come on, man. But anyway, sorry. We knew that, though. He was facing like top 10 defenses the first 4 games. This is his first matchup, which looks like you and I and Anthony, we could go out there. We could throw the ball around against this Dallas Cowboys and score some points ourselves. Yeah. Is that going to happen? What do you guys think?
I'll let Anthony. I just want to say something really quick, but I want Anthony to take the bulk of this because it's about his Cowboys and the Cowboys defense, and Anthony is well tuned in to the Cowboys. The only thing I want to say is just that, and I put this in my article with DraftKings when I nominated Slayton, it was that I would not recommend, though, stacking Daniel Jones and Slayton. I don't think that Daniel Jones can be trusted, but I do think that the Cowboys defense is bad enough that Slayton or Ingram will do some damage. So that's all I wanted to say. Anthony, you are the Cowboys aficionado, so have at it.
Well, the schedule is certainly going to open up for Darius Slayton and the Giants. And Darius Slayton, I love the price point. He's getting consistent targets, 7 targets in 3 out of 4 games and a 6 in the other one. He's getting the usage. My issue here, Daniel Jones has not thrown a touchdown pass since week 1.
Yikes.
Yeah.
It's been bad.
Since week 2. Week 2 is the last touchdown they scored.
Right. And as bad as this Dallas defense is, and I'm going to throw, a fan kind of take here. We hear this week Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones saying, it's going to come together. Mike Nolan's been around the league. I guess they haven't seen his stats as a defensive coordinator, but sure, guys, he's been around. He wasn't effective at his job.
Right. He's been around the league. He keeps getting fired.
But is that like when your boy brings around a girl that's been around, and then like you guys are like, that girl's been around, and they're like, yeah, she's great. She knows all my friends. And you're like, right, bro, right. That's Mike Nolan.
But now, as the Cowboys, you're getting a little bit of a run here against the teams like the Giants, you have Washington, you have the Cardinals. They're all in theory winnable games, especially this week against New York. If Daniel Jones struggles and turns the ball over, because Dallas does have a pass rush, this Dallas defense can have a big game and all of a sudden, makes Mike Nolan look good. Yeah. And it's more about Daniel Jones than the Dallas defense. You get what I mean?
No, I agree. It's a tipping point. One or the other has to kind of hit.
Like if they get pressure on Daniel Jones, they're going to make this secondary look like, it's top 5.
Right.
And he's going to throw interceptions, and it's going to make it look like all is well in Dallas, and it's not.
It's not. No.
So that is my concern with Darius Slayton and everybody else in New York.
It's such a stupid statement to say he's been around the league. Like, yes, he's been around the league because he continuously goes to places.
Well, saying he's experienced. He's experienced. Okay.
Listen, he was a 49ers head coach. You guys know him, diehard 49er fan. Nicest thing I could say about that guy, super well dressed. That was when he wanted to wear the suit on the sideline.
Boom. That's what he's known for, is the suit.
I'm saying that's all I've got. I've got nothing else to.
He's not your coach. That's a good thing. I mean,
And we also employed Jim Tomsula.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Jim Tomsula farting in his press conferences. Jeez.
Oh, my God.
I never drank more in my life than when Jim Tomsula was the head coach of the 49ers.
That is like they're like the Freddie Kitchens of defense.
Oh man, that's terrible. That's a great segment or a segue. Anyway, to go down to our tight ends. Let's see how we went. I did go Evan Ingram. Speaking of that situation, I wanted to segue myself into that. I'm not super excited about this pick. Honestly, this was a value pick because I did pay up for some other friends. And I'm a little worried about the offensive line against this Dallas pass rush. They're not terrible. They're not. I think the linebackers have been hit. The core's been hit. The offensive line has been hit. There's some big weaknesses. The Dallas Cowboys have been kind of put on display for everybody to see. But their their defensive pass rush isn't one of them. And so I'm hoping they kind of get to him and he can just dump it down to Ingram, and Ingram can kind of run in space. Yeah. And that's kind of my hope. He's priced down. He's a value. I'm not super duper excited. It's just more that Dallas has given up, to the tight end. It's been a back and forth experience with Dallas every single week, and someone has to score the points against Dallas. So I'm hoping it's Ingram. You guys are banking on Slayton. I like that. We have the same game. We're thinking the same thing. We just have a different, kind of pivot point of who's going to get those points, or maybe it's going to be spread around and we're kind of both getting the value. We'll see.
I thought about Evan Ingram too. He's third in targets at tight end, number 1 in route participation, number 2 in routes run, 6th in team pass plays per game. He's in a slot, the 5th most of any tight end. So they're using Evan Ingram to his strength. Again, it comes down to Daniel Jones. And this is the game, in theory, Daniel Jones and the rest of this Giants offense should get going.
Pounding that desk. I like it, Anthony.
Yeah. Anthony's bringing the fire, guys. I just got to tell you. If you don't know the FF Faceoff, it's crushing right now. It's just bringing the heat. I love both these guys already. So,
well, I always say it's always so funny. Anthony gets so riled up. He's pounding the desk, this and that. But and I always say oftentimes, who's drinking on this show, you or me? Anthony's always with the Rockstar energy drink. But yeah, he's bringing that straight fire.
I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I drink or vape or whatever, just to kind of chill out, because in general, like, I am Anthony. Like, I wake up, I'm just like, hey, people are like, hey, no, you calm the fuck down there, guy.
Calm down, have a drink. Calm down.
I get excited. I get amped up. I'm the kid who's just like, we're gonna play dodgeball. Oh yeah. Yep. Okay. No, you're not a captain. You can't. You're too excited. You're gonna do really well.
We're gonna pick you last, just hoping you calm down. That's
right.
It.
Well, in Red Rover, my favorite thing I did in kindergarten in Red Rover was when they sent one of the girls over. She was a very sporty girl. She was way taller than me, and she was strong. She was just gonna crush everybody who was there. I was never letting go. I grabbed the guy's wrist. I said, I got you. Yeah. And I got you. You're going to fall down, but I got you. She ran through. She tried to run through. And then I just boinged her back on her back. And, I didn't look back. You can't come at me. I'm an offensive lineman by trade, defensive lineman by night. I did both. I was on the practice squad for offense, and then they would call the practice squad for defense. And I would stay there. I just turn around and I'd be on the other line. So, I'm ready to go. And I think your guy, Kittle, is my guy too in spirit animal. They said, who's your NFL spirit animal? It's George Kittle. Man, that guy I see him on the TV and I jump up. I'm just like, whoa, and I get going talking about him right now. I feel like Anthony is in me right now. It's just, I love George Kittle. Tell me about him for you, Michael. Does he give you the excites like he gives me?
Every day I wake up and I do a few things. I thank the good Lord that I've got my wife and that she puts up with my nonsense.
God bless her.
And then I thank the good Lord that he brought me George Kittle. And that he is on the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, so yeah, I mean, the whole love affair aside, yes, I do love George. I love the energy he brings, and it is, as you were saying, it is most certainly infectious. But to me, listen, this Dolphins team has done pretty well against tight ends. But to me, when you're talking about a guy like Kittle or a guy like Kelsey, they sort of crack that whole mantra of, this team is good against this position, because this is at the top of his game. And I talked about Jimmy earlier, and this was kind of the method to my madness. This was how I started my lineup. I wanted to go Garoppolo and Kittle. So I think that even though Garoppolo has all of his weapons now, he's got Debo, who he's familiar with, and he's got Brandon Ayuk. I think in order for him to get into a rhythm in this game, I think he's going to have to throw the ball early to George Kittle. No, I'm not suspecting another 15 for 15 and a 40-point game out of George Kittle. Let's be realistic here, but I am expecting, 20-point game. I think that's well within it. And so I had no problem paying up, or believe he's 6,600 on DraftKings. So I had no problem paying that up, and it gives me more incentive to enjoy that Niner game tomorrow.
Now, I love it. And also, you got to think about him as a wide receiver one. And so really you're pricing him up against those wide receiver ones in DK. And, he's priced under, Tyreek Hill, who's, 6,900 for the first time I've ever seen in a while. So, which is a great value. We didn't do any Chiefs in this stack so far, but,
which is fascinating.
We had Clyde.
Oh, yeah.
Clyde,
Well, I mean, like the pass catchers, but but Clyde could definitely be a pass catching. But
I did flirt with Mecole Hardman a little bit. I did flirt with that.
I flirted. I think Mecole is in the same vein as Ruggs this week, and guys who are kind of great GPP dart throws.
I love Ruggs, man.
Yeah, they do hit. Those are some of my favorite. You can pay up a running back and then throw those little darts in your flex or in your wide receiver, and maybe give yourself like one really strong wide receiver one. No, I like it. Let's talk about your pick, Anthony, because we're in the same game here. I'm the tight end from the Giants, you're the tight end from the Cowboys. When Blake Jarwin went down, I think we kind of thought next man up a little bit because he was on the waiver wire the first week and people did pick him up. But, Schultz has really stepped up, and he now is priced above Evan Ingram this week. You reached a little bit over me, not that you reached, but you went higher by 1,000 to do that. Talk about him.
Well, here's the downside with Dalton Schultz, and I look at both ends. The Giants a couple of years ago, for a very long time, they were one of the worst teams. They were like the Cardinals against the tight end, and really we saw it last year, and it's spilling over to now this year. And a lot has to do with Jabril Peppers. The Giants are giving up like the 6th fewest fantasy points per game to the tight end position. They haven't given up a touchdown yet, and their worst outing was 4 for 49. They are giving up nothing to the tight end. Now, the good with Dalton Schultz, you're paying what am I at, 48 with him, and you're paying 46 for Evan Ingram. The difference is Dalton Schultz is 8th in fantasy points per game amongst the tight ends. He's highly used. He's highly productive with his opportunity. And the 2 best games we've seen, I believe, out of Dalton Schultz were both in Dallas, I believe.
Yeah,
against Atlanta, tight end 7, and last week against Cleveland, tight end 4.
And just to go back really quick, because we were talking about my guy, my guy Blake Jarwin, who went down, absolutely crushed my heart. Anthony knows I despise the Cowboys, but funny enough, in my home league, I own Prescott. I've got
you're going to be a Cowboys fan soon. Wow.
I mean, I'm rooting for him each week, but or their offense at least. Schultz did himself no favors in that week 1 matchup. If you remember when Jarwin went down, a lot of drop passes. So that might have been why in redraft, some people might have saw him on the waiver wire that first week and said, "That's okay."
I faded him. I was actually looking at Blake Bell.
I faded him too.
Blake Bell's very athletic. Very athletic.
Yeah. I faded him as well. But just saying, good on Schultz for taking advantage of the opportunity, playing fantastic. So, and I like that pick too.
Well, and one thing I do want everyone to know is that we've talked a lot of crossover wide receivers, and if you're playing bingo at home, which I know you all are, keeping track of who's got who.
Yeah, they gotta be.
Yeah. So I have CeeDee Lamb, but Anthony does not have CeeDee Lamb, and Michael does, and so Anthony's stock in that offense is Schultz. So that, just so you guys understand how we do have 2 CeeDee Lambs. We all have Robbie Anderson, and then we have 2 Will Fullers. And so we're kind of all dancing around with each other in this. So I want to clarify for people who are maybe their bingo card got shifted.
For what it's worth, and I'm pulling it up right now, I think the 2 weeks CeeDee Lamb popped were the 2 weeks at home that Dalton Schultz popped. I'm just double checking Lamb. Yep, yep, exactly.
So then we all pop. So
that would be great, and that's that middle of the field theory
right there
we've been talking about. And thinking of theories about how this game goes, I would not be surprised if this game shot. Just saying, throwing it out there theory wise.
I'm going to be worried about Amari Cooper. This is why I do like CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz this week. I talked about Jabril Peppers being a bright spot for the Giants. James Bradbury is another top 30 corner in the league, probably a top 20. I have to double check, but he's been locking down receivers all year, and he's going to be matched up with Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I think he was on Robert Woods last week as well, and I have Robert Woods in redraft. He didn't get over 10 points, so that was not a great day for Robert Woods.
My boy Anthony is wicked smart. Just gonna put
you know what?
I'm sorry, wide receiver. He is a top 20 cornerback.
Yeah, no, he is. Here's the cool part, Michael. When you reached out and you said Anthony wanted to jump in here, I told him last week it was an honor for being able to do it with both of you guys, but it was cool to be able to do it with both of you guys. Like, I wasn't like, all right, first I will have Michael, and then I will trick out.
Get Anthony.
I'm not a grand schemer. Between you guys, everybody listening here on the pod and stuff, Michael has reached out to me in DMs. Just relationally. I appreciate everybody reaching out, and not that Anthony didn't or couldn't, but there's so many people on Twitter. I follow over 5,000 people. They lifted my cap. Thank you, Twitter, for finally letting me be somebody who can follow more than 5,000 people. Apparently that's a big thing. You can't unless you're
really.
Yeah. So here's what happens. Most people don't follow that many people, or you're like a bot, just like a computer program. So Twitter just kind of caps everybody at it. But for me, I started by following a bunch of people because I was a fan. And so I followed you guys way before you followed me. I probably had no followers then. I was a fan, just trying to learn and grow and become better at fantasy football, DFS, everything. That's me as a person. I'm a grower, not a shower. I get it done by really learning what I don't know. And so I just follow people all the time. And then once I started getting a following and lots of people started following me, it was great. But then at 5,000, I just hit a wall, and it would say, "You can't do it. You can't do it." And it was weird. It was so weird. And I read about it, and it was basically that's a cap they put on everybody's account, but on celebrities and people who are prolific Twitter people who just tweet all the time and who have lots of followers and maybe it's over 5,000 or I'm near 5,000. So maybe they're like, okay, this guy's substantial enough he's interacting. It just made it so I couldn't follow people back, which is a big.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's stupid. And for me, I'm a free range guy, man. I'll follow everybody and anybody. And I'm not, I appreciate when anybody follows me. But anyway, long story short, Michael and I had built a rapport, and I appreciate Michael's relationship building and caring for me as a person, not even fantasy football related. Like that was cool with Michael. And then to meet Anthony, it's the same thing, man. Just like it's an amazing guy, stand-up guy, and you see where they come together as a great force too to do all that they've done. I can just see it in my interaction. So thank you guys, and like I said before, it's gonna feel good when I win. So let's talk about how I'm gonna win.
I'm not gonna lie though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit of a grower, but I'm more of a shower.
I'm just gonna say I've seen showers before, and I'm a little scared. I'm not gonna lie.
Anthony's definitely a shower. He just doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, what are we showing?
We're gonna show.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours. There you
go. Well, me and Michael are swinging the same stick, and then Anthony's swinging the same stick as Michael is up in his RB2. So let's talk about. We got Antonio Gibson for myself and for Michael, and then Anthony has got James Robinson. So
Ooh,
the RBs are just beautiful this week.
This is going to be close, man.
I played around.
I'm going to get some more beer.
Initially, I had James Robinson in my RB2 spot. Then I took him out, and I was shifting around. I had guys like Le'Veon Bell, Chase Edmonds, James Robinson, all in this flex spot because I like using another running back. And then I ended up messing around with, a couple other positions and landed on, to where I could have a good enough team and still have J-Rob in my lineup. And a lot of this has to do with the matchup against the Houston Texans. This year, Houston's secondary is playing pretty good. I'm not big on Chark this week, but you can run on Houston. You can gash Houston, and that's what James Robinson does the best. Used in a passing game, used in between the tackles. He's explosive. Doesn't get a lot of red zone touches. Only 6 red zone touches on a year. And we talked about Clyde Edwards-Helaire earlier, where he had 6 goal line touches in week 1. So I am worried about that for James Robinson, but this should be a game where he should collect total yards and hopefully a score to put him over the top.
No, I think it's a great pick. And we talked about stats with him earlier. One thing that is really interesting, when I think about the backfield and how it kind of evolved, there was nobody really that we knew who was going to take the bell cow role after Fournette. We didn't think it was going to be one person. We thought it'd be a kind of a committee approach. You have a bunch of guys. The way it's turned into one guy. And I heard a tweet today from one of the beat reporters in Jacksonville who said, and they said, well, somebody in D.C. who used to follow Jay Gruden, who was the coach of the Washington football team previously, they said, oh, you got to love Jay Gruden. He tweeted out, or they tweeted out in behalf of him, that he wants to get James Robinson more second half carries this week. So it's one of those things where you wonder how football games go, and you're like, why is this happening? It's not just scheme. Kyle Shanahan is the guy in the lab. He's scheming. He's scheming to get Kittle the ball. All those plays he did last week with him to get him 15 catches. I bet you every single one of those plays was designed almost like that. He wants those things to happen. I feel with Jay Gruden, it's the same way when it comes to James Robinson. He is just so excited to have somebody who he can play with, and he's not in charge. He's not the guy who's asking questions. And the Washington media, by the way, is some of the sharpest knives in the drawer. A bunch of the guys who've worked in Washington have gone on to ESPN and The Athletic and every other place you can think of. And so Jay Gruden standing in front of these reporters getting hit up with the tough questions, he doesn't do it anymore. He can just go, I got James Robinson. I got a better Chris Thompson. Hey, Chris Thompson, bye-bye. You're not getting hurt. James Robinson, I think, really has an opportunity to win this for you, man. I think this gives Anthony like a 5-point edge over myself personally. I'm not going to talk about Michael's team because I want them to argue it out, because that's what I've been waiting for. Because what I've heard is that you guys love each other, but there's friction at times because we got 2 alphas, which for me, I live with women, and so I'm the beta, so I never get to be the alpha. So when I get I come here, I'm just like excited to be here, but I got 2 alphas, and so I want you guys to kind of talk about where Antonio Gibson leaves you, Michael, compared to Anthony with James Robinson right now. This is close.
Mike's going to be killing the bugs in a relationship. I'll put it that way.
Oh yeah, Anthony had that tweet today. Said he's moving, and he sends me the tweet, and it's a bug on the wall.
No, it wasn't the wall. It was the outside pillar walking into my front door. I literally called my wife 3 times. When she didn't answer, I went to the back door and banging.
God,
banging.
Not the good kind of banging.
No.
No. Anthony, any thoughts?
I'm petrified of things like that.
Any thoughts of just simply taking off your shoe and smashing that thing to smithereens?
Nope. What if it jumps on me?
No. Well, you gotta be fast. If you ain't first, you're last. You gotta be quick.
Anthony, I'm going to tell you a story that might scare you a little bit. I watched Arachnophobia after it came out. It was on TBS, so it wasn't even in the theater. I'm on TBS. I'm like 12 or something, 13. I don't know. I'm 41 right now, folks, so I'm dating myself. I don't know when it came out. I'm watching it on TV. The spiders start jumping out of things. It's a scary movie. It's about being scared of spiders, whatever, right? I shouldn't have watched it. I was already arachnophobic. I've had tons of bad experiences with spiders. That very day, or no, the next day, not that day, the next day, I go into my room.
He's shaking his head. He doesn't want to hear it.
I see a wolf. I live in Maryland. I see a wolf spider And it's a big hairy MFer. I'm like, damnation. I live in the basement, of a house with my family. I'm one of 8 other people. So I'm, 7 other people live around the house. I have my own room in the basement. I'm like, I got to kill this son of a bee. I start chasing our room. I'm banging it. It eventually, I can't kill it. It gets up under my box spring. It runs up to, I lift up my bed. My mattress is flown over. It's gone. It's not on the bed anymore. The box springs up. I have a golf club in my hand. I look down, and there it is, like inside my box spring. I start smashing it. I kill it. And then I look next to it, and there's another one. And then I kill that one. And then next to it is some eggs. And so I get the vacuum. I clean them all out. If I hadn't seen that MFer, I would have been hatched upon in my bed. So
you can't vacuum it up when it's alive because it'll crawl out.
No, you got to kill them. And that's, I'm in my bed, in my bedroom. It's like a 14-year-old, exacerbated sweating. I probably smelled like shit. And here's the thing, I didn't kill it with the head of the golf club. I killed it. I had the head in my hand. I was using the knob to kill it. And it's like, I felt like I was in Braveheart. Like literally, I'm just like, you son of a bitch. And I was so scared. And then I searched my whole room. I found a couple more little spiders. And I'm in the basement right now. Shocker. Guess who is the baddest MFer in here? It's me. Anything I see, man, I got past my fear that day. I got my sandals. I'm ready to kill any and everything. And I got gerbils. And so if I kill you, I feed you to my gerbils.
I am like a ninja. If I see a bug, I murder it. Like I will baseball slide it and slap that thing. And I've done it so many times where the wife won't even know that it happened.
Yes.
I won't even know that the spider was in the room. It never happened.
Let's start a podcast called Bug Murderers, and we can just talk about how we murder and when we murder bugs.
Yes.
It makes me feel good because I kill them every day. I kill all of them.
The cat does a good job getting that kind of stuff.
I don't have a cat. That's smart. All right. Well, we've been digressing, but I would talk to these guys literally all the time, and this has been great. Let's get down to the last play, and that's the defense. And I'm hoping there's a little bit of variance. Let's see what we got. Oh, Browns, and Eagles for Anthony. So Michael and myself have the Browns, Eagles for Anthony. Let's go with Eagles for Anthony because I've said it 7 times. What do you think about the Eagles this week against Pittsburgh?
This was the other tough one. I had the Colts in there, and then I had to buy down so I can afford James Robinson. I'm a little bit worried about the Browns, so I ended up settling on Philly, and Philly's going to give up some production to the Steelers. But I also see this becoming one of those ground and pound games between these two teams. And this Philly pass rush, they can get to the quarterback. Big Ben's not as mobile as he used to be, so I think Philly's going to get to Big Ben and make some mistakes and get some sacks. I just need a high floor. I'm not looking for anything big out of this defense. I just need them not to bust.
I like that, and and I'm going to try. I'm going to attempt to do a maneuver in the show and stop sharing my screen and then share my screen with another screen. So we'll see. We're back to just the 3 of us, and thanks for everybody who's been sticking around with us. We got 3 people with us now. You guys are the best. Appreciate you all. We've had a bunch of people the whole time in and out. We've been on for a while. We've been just enjoying ourselves, which is how the DFS Money Shot should be. If you're involved in a money shot, it should never be stressful. It should just be about having a good time, talking fantasy football, doing what we do. So appreciate it. Yeah. So I'm going to try to share another screen and see if I can do it. I might not be successful, but I'm going to give it a go because if you're not trying, you're dying. That's kind of my thought. Yay, it works. So, this is a different tool. I think I showed Anthony this tool last week. This is my own personal tool that I've created for Nimble with Numbers. And what it is, it has every single point this year by any player in any position group. So like right now we're looking at quarterbacks. And so you can sort by most points. You can see Dak Prescott's the best player so far with 137.2. And then it's got weekly, it's got pricing for this week, the value on that. Average for the whole year, all that kind of stuff. So if you go to defense, long story short, defense is just a shit show completely. Like the best defense is the Colts, and they average 13 points a game, and that's terrible in this process. And if you look down here at the Dallas Cowboys at -0.3, Anthony's exactly right. You just don't want your defense to crap on you. Now that's all you you're like, don't F me, man. Just give me 5 or 6 points. Like that's all you kind of want. And I do think that that's a good situation. Big Ben is not that mobile at all. He's more like, the real Big Ben over in the UK, just kind of static right now. And so I feel like that's a good play. If you're looking at this metrics too on here, we went with a terrible team so far, and Cleveland has not been good. Let's just be honest. They've had 0, 4, 14. That was against the Washington football team, and then 5. But I think Old Man Rivers, I think he has it coming. That's just kind of, that's my philosophy. And so I don't know what Michael thinks, but that's kind of where I'm at with him. I'll tell you a stat before this year. Even this year, he did it the first week. He hasn't done it since then because they've been winning. But in last year, he threw 6 game-ending interceptions at the end of drives when they were within 1 score for the Chargers, and they were driving down the field. Phillip Rivers threw an interception 6 times. I mean, that's make or break, and he broke every single time. So that's what I'm hoping. Yeah. Hoping he breaks again, and it's for a pick 6. So
that's the selling point. Let me just get this out, and you can finish, Mike. Yeah. That's the selling point for the Cleveland Browns defense that I was thinking about too. Similar situation as Philly going against Big Ben. These are games that could potentially be, high volume running back games. Both are older quarterbacks, not very mobile. And a lot of people assume, Phillips is going to go from a back 10 offensive line to an elite top 2 offensive line, and he's not going to make any mistake. He's the same Phillip Rivers that he's always been, with a better offensive line in front of him. Yeah. He's going to get sacked, and he's going to make the mistake too. So I like the Cleveland play with the high floor as well, because Cleveland's pass rush is outstanding, just like Philly.
This pick had everything to do with Phillip Rivers, and also just you said defense is a shit show this week. So a lot of it also had to do with, I've got Kittle here. I've got both running backs priced over 6,500. Something's got to give. So it was the Browns, but I'll say that in my number crunching, I do feel comfortable with the Browns because, again, it's Phillip Rivers. That's literally what that's all about. And I wholeheartedly believe I would bet every red cent I have that Phillip Rivers throws an interception tomorrow.
Yeah, bet the over on that, by the way. We're talking props. Just so you guys know, I am so far 41 and 34. So for 75 picks this year, I've gone 55% in my nimble props. And this is one I'm gonna bet this one because he's definitely throwing a pick. When he throws the football, this is what's crazy. I have a water bottle, so I can't throw my water bottle, but if I were throwing my water bottle, I would have a grip on my water bottle like a regular football, right? And I would throw it. This guy does one of these jammies where he just shuttlecocks that bitch. He just like pushes it. And
it's like a shot put.
He gets more balls batted down. And I don't like him. He's on the road. You know what? I think Cleveland has the opportunity here. They're not playing that terrible. Stefanski wants to control the game. Kareem Hunt's another good play. If I didn't do Mike Davis, I'm thinking Kareem Hunt.
I'm kind of surprised Hunt didn't show up anywhere. I'm not going to lie.
I think him and Mike Davis. I think Mike Davis, because I don't know if they're going to – because Kareem Hunt was on the injury report last week. Let me just say this. This is how I think about players. If you've been nicked up a little bit this year, I'm just – riding you as a bell cow all game in any game is not going to happen. Let's just be honest, because coaches are never going to do that. And so if you have no injuries and you're solid, you're straight, then you could run the whole game. But Le'Veon Bell this week, he's going to be limited. Like there's a cap on everybody's value. And I think Kareem Hunt has a cap. And I think that Mike Davis doesn't. I think that James Robinson, they don't have caps. There's just I don't have to worry about those guys. But for both of you guys, there's no cap. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire is capless, I think, in this situation. So I think this is great.
Selfishly, before we move on and get ready to, do some trash talking and wrap things up, I just want to say Anthony knows this. I think with the exception of the FF Hitman over there with the fantasy footballers, of course, big name, of course, star-studded. I think with the exception of him, I don't know how many people were more of a Gibson supporter as I was, which Anthony will tell you. I've been beating that drum like crazy, and I think that he is going to hit his stride here. By the way, he has got a touchdown in each of his last 3 games.
Yeah.
I felt super comfortable putting him in here at flex. Again, with DraftKings, again, it's point per reception. And, I know the receptions aren't plentiful right now, but I think they're going to start to come. I think with Kyle Allen in a quarterback, he's going to be checking the ball down a lot. I think we're going to enter a situation where Gibson's going to get a lot more targets, and he's going to get the carries. He is going to be the guy in Washington. That's it. And he's going to be the dude. I can't wait. And Anthony, go ahead. You can tell everybody I've been saying it all.
You've been in on Antonio Gibson all offseason. The reason why I haven't been was because of how high his ADP shot. And I got a little trigger shy after last year with Damian Harris, Justice Hill, and really the bigger comp of somebody last year who was a 14th round, 12th round ADP and jumped up to the 8th was Darwin Thompson. So it was a little bit trigger shy on Antonio Gibson. But I'm and I said this on our show, I'm sold on Antonio Gibson. Target share wise, last week he had 5. J.D. McKissick had 8. I don't think J.D. McKissick is going anywhere, something I've said all offseason long. But this is Antonio Gibson's backfield, and McKissick will just be a plug-and-play PPR guy if you need a high floor.
And, I mean, to Anthony's point, Anthony, because the whole thing with the ADP, first you had, and I'm sorry, I forget I think this went AP first. AP was released, and then Darius Geis decided that he wants to hit women for a living.
And then Bryce Love.
That was ridiculous.
Right, and then
everybody loved Bryce Love.
I didn't.
That's his knee.
Listen, everybody loved Bryce Love for what he did like 3 years ago in college.
Right.
Good times. But anyway, so I get that.
Remember that one time in college with the beer bong? Remember that one time?
It's something that happens a lot in this community.
Right. Sorry, and Michael, I'm sorry. I step on Michael's toes. I'll drink to that. I'm sorry,
Which one should I do? Which one should I do? Tomorrow morning's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, man, thank you, brother. I've been delicious. I've been killing
work. Well, you remember actually, and then we'll finally get the trash talking. Anthony's like, guys, stop talking about alcohol. But you remember I told you that I was running low on that one bottle?
Yeah.
Well, there's that one.
Okay.
That's from when I joined this DFS pod to get my ass kicked in, and this is the replacement. So it's Jack. It's good. It's great.
I gotta say, I'm not normally a liquor guy, and this is how liquor and me have lived. I'm a beer bro. Growing up in the olden days in high school, I was not cool. My freshman year, I was ridiculously not cool. Made fun of several times by my best friend Mike Collins, who is my podcast partner here at the Ralph Macho, the Fantasy Millionaires. He's my other better half, big beard guy, great guy, love him. My best friend for the last, I would say, 24 years. But my first time I met him in high school, he was mean to me as a freshman, and I got made fun of. My first school, I went to a different school, and I reinvented myself. I was like, you got to be cool, man. You got to be cool when you go to school. And so drinking beers was cool. I didn't even like drinking beers. It tasted terrible. I got a 40, my first 40 I ever drank, took it in my room, put some ice in it, and drank it out of a huge 40-ounce big gulp cup by myself just to feel what it felt like so I wouldn't be out in public being an idiot. That's
actually a smart idea.
I was trying to not be an a-hole. And so, I acclimated to that. And I long story short, in high school, me and beer just were like best buddies. I never drank liquor. 18, turned it around, sober guy for a long time. When I got a little older, started drinking beers again. But here's how liquor works. I never get it really. And so if I go to a wedding or a party where I'm going to be there for a long time and there's free liquor, I'll just drink, Long Island's, vodka, soda, whatever. I'm just talking and drinking. I'm not trying to get drunk. I do get drunk. And so I don't have a lot of liquor around because I don't normally just drink it. But after I beat Michael, I felt really good about myself. And so I bought this. And then after I lost to Anthony, I felt really bad about myself. So I drank.
You drank more.
I drank more. But anyway, I'm not advocating for drinking. But I have drank a bunch more beer. So liquor and me, I'm not normally like getting hammered on liquor. So this is great. Like I'm enjoying myself.
I will do a selfish plug on behalf of the FF Face Off.
Yes.
We have the beer app called Tavor. I've mentioned it to you before. TAVOUR. You download the app. They update that thing like 2 to 3 times a day. They give you the description of the beer, to what state it comes from, alcohol content, the whole kit and caboodle, what's in it, and you can build your own thing with as many beers as you want, have it shipped to your home. So, and if you download that app, again, TAVOUR, and then if you download the app, if you spend $25 or more, use the promo code FACEOFF, FACEOFF, not like I've said this 4 times a week for about a month. You will get an additional $10 credit. And Anthony, let's do this, Anthony. This is always fun. Okay. Anthony, what do I always tell the fine folks?
If you buy once, you're going to buy again. And I follow that up with, if you're a non-drinker like me, it's okay to be the enabler. Go to Tavor.com, use the promo code FACEOFF, and send a box to your friend. Be the enabler. It's 2020. It's okay.
And like a nasty spouse, I have dropped the hint to Anthony a few times that he could always send me a box, and he still has not sent me one.
Well, so
maybe I'll send you. Okay.
So here's what I wanted to do.
I thought that was shtick. I didn't think that was serious, but if you
that's serious, dude.
So I'll tell you, we're gonna talk off here because I would honestly love to support Tavor, and they sound like right up my alley. As a home brewer, I mean, I've got beers that are 2 years old that I'm waiting to drink because there's the last one of that vintage, and they're like incredible. Actually,
nice.
I got one that's 4 years old. It's a ESB English. It's an extra special bitter, is what it is. In the UK, most of the UK beers, when you go over there, I went over to the UK. I lived in the UK for a year. I did a Fulbright teacher exchange. And so I went and lived in Taunton, England, in someone's house. I drove their car. I lived in their home with my wife. They came and lived in my home with their husband. And they drove my car, went in my classroom, and I taught in their classroom. So we traded pretty much everything, computers, the whole thing. But we were paid by our home countries, and it was a program. I'm not sure if it's around anymore, but it was a program that was a U.S. State Department program for 50 years. So it was really cool to be a part of it. There was maybe 80 people selected in America to be ambassadors for America as educators to go to the world in 2009, 2010, and I was one of them. So that's like the biggest feather in my cap ever, is that I got to represent America in the UK. And I got to go teach and be a part of their system, and so that was that was something that was really super cool. And so over there, I went to a bunch of different places, had a bunch of different beers, became enthralled with all of these different things, came back and became a home brewer. And so, somebody who appreciates all those things, I would love to talk to you guys about that. And please do check out Tavor. Is there a .com? Where do they go?
They're very specifically, they're an app. So if you go to their website, and it will be Tavor.com, it'll automatically redirect you to the app. So
that's awesome.
Go to your app stores, TAVOUR, check it out. It is so cool. It really is.
No, that's awesome. All right, so let's say this. I know that we kind of want to stir a little bit up between you guys because you're definitely friends, but you're competitive.
Yeah, screw that guy.
Yeah, exactly. So Michael, if you win against him, because money's at stake, here's how it works. There's $50 at stake for each of us this time. That was what was at stake the first time we fought against each other in this little battle, head to head. Now it's head to head, and now there's $150 up for grabs in this. And so I wanted to spice up the pot because I know you guys are going to be continuing to interact as brothers in arms on the fancy face-off. And so let me ask you, or the FF face-off. So let me ask you guys a question. Could we do, if he wins, if Michael wins, Anthony, could you buy him that Tavor pack? And then other way, Anthony, what could he get you if you win?
I don't know. I got to think about that.
A bunch of lemons and a bunch of waters.
I mean, a case of strawberry Rockstar energy drink. That's pretty. That's fair, right?
Yeah, that sounds super fair. Yeah, and so maybe we make it like maybe you can Venmo him like $15 or something so he can get it, whatever it is. So we're not shipping the the bubbly to Anthony in case he does win. But check out the Tavor app, please. As a beer aficionado, you want to get every single beer that you like. You want to build the pack that you want to drink out of. So that sounds just perfect. I'm going to say I think both of you guys have great lineups, and I'm a little bit behind because I don't have James Robinson. That's how I feel. So it comes down to that Mike Davis versus James Robinson, and that's going to be a good matchup. But then if CeeDee Lamb or Schultz hits, that's going to impact it. So it's going to be really, really close. I can't wait to see this. I think we're both going to score in the 140s. I feel like.
I thought I had the upper hand until Anthony pulled that ace out of the hole with his flex with Robinson. I said, darn it, because I was hoping the whole time, the moment I saw he didn't take Robinson as one of his 2 running backs, I said, please don't take him as a flex. Please don't take him as a flex. And he did.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show Anthony's a smart dude, and that's why he's my partner. But screw you, Anthony, for taking Robinson. You smart guy. And I think it'll be close. And I think for me, obviously, clearly, it's my victory potentially is going to be on the arm of a smooth Jimmy G. So, if Jimmy G and Kittle can get it together and make some beautiful music together, then I'm going to be doing all right.
If Teddy Bridgewater screws me, it's not going to be a good reaction show on Teddy.
I'm tuning in, by the way, to that show.
Oh, man.
Must listen to.
We're going to have to put an explicit rating on that.
I always love doing that. And you know what? We had to do it today. And it was because of me. I channeled my inner Denny. And, I did it again. And I said the curses. I think every single podcast I've created so far in my red circle process, at the end of it, it goes explicit or not. And I go, yeah. And I push yes. So it's been a good time. Thank you guys so much for coming on. You can find both of these guys on Twitter. We have Michael, go ahead and hit yourself up.
I am at the FF Realist. So come follow me for all the fantasy football goodness and some clever gifts.
Anthony?
I'm at the Real NFL Guru. Follow me. I'm not as good as a giffer as Mike, but I'm always putting out good fantasy football and non-fantasy football stuff.
But the man seriously has a underrated mind in as far as football goes. I mean, a lot of guys in fantasy, they just stick to whatever and have a shtick and whatever. But Anthony's a very smart guy, and I am very lucky that I randomly said to Anthony, hey, do you want to start a podcast together? Because he a lot of times brings the knowledge. I only bring the liquor and some clever comments. So
no, you sell yourself short.
No, but follow Anthony.
Definitely follow Anthony.
I'm 102 away from 11,000. So follow me. Even if you want to send some sex bots my way, they count.
I'm gonna after I get off the pod, I'm gonna take you guys both up because I'm honored that you guys would come down and be on my show. And you guys are the best. Thank you guys so much.
Anytime you want me on, you just shine the bat signal. I will be there.
Yeah, you guys rock. You guys rock. And please do check them out. And then next year when the Podathon comes along, I'm just going to say right now, I'm already committed to $100 at least donating. I mean, that's just
you're already a guest, so
I can't wait to do anything I can next year to support that. And I want to build a pot towards it. I've been, I have a family of, like I said, 7 brothers and sisters, or, family, my mom and dad and everybody. And there's a lot of us and my in-laws. And so, people who've been impacted by mental health situations. And here's what we need in the country. We need a lot more money towards supporting people and helping people and giving people, relationship building tools. And right. We don't need more, I'm not trying to be mean to police. We don't need more, authority. We don't need that. We need more people who are trained and skilled and who understand the mind. We don't see the mind, folks. We don't see it.
It's also about time, and I'm not going to get into politics, but it's about time, no matter what side of the aisle you stand on, at least as far as mental health is concerned, it's about time we all just open our arms to everybody and just talk and give a hug, and just know that no matter where you stand on that stuff, guess what? We're all humans. We're all in this together. And
Well, I think understanding people is really, really important, and being understood is important too. And so, in this process, we're not alone, and we can really, I think for all of us, work together to understand each other. I think that's where it comes down to is not being self-focused. And so people who do struggle with mental health, you have to sometimes be the person who is less self-focused. And I think that's really helpful to understand that when you're selfless, you can really care for other people. And so really be selfless. Like don't think about yourself in these situations, especially if you're somebody who's, caring for people. You are amazing. So
there you go.
Yeah. You guys rock. Thank you. Appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys are the best, and we'll see you guys next time on the DFS Money Shot. I don't think there's many episodes as good as this, but I've been drinking liquor for a long time, so we'll see. All right, peace. See you guys next time.